The big story that we are breaking on Times Now, even as the number of civilian casualties goes down in Jammu and Kashmir and the anti-terror operations go up, there is a marked change in strategy by terror groups. In fact, there is an effort to try and peddle a narrative of how the armed forces are those who are the violators of human rights. They are projected as occupation forces, but now we tell you who the real violators of human rights in J&K are. Just 2 days ago, during the Kulgam encounter, civilians were taken hostage by the terrorist who was holed up inside. When he found himself surrounded by the special operations group, not only did he take a civilian hostage, but even used him as a human shield, clearly putting him in the way of danger. And it's not us who is saying it. It is not the claim of the armed forces, but in fact, it's that same man who in fact was used as a human shield, the occupant of that house, who is now telling you word for word what actually happened. Listen in to who used him as a shield and who eventually took him to safety and to life. Listen.
किचन में गए तो वो वहीं पे था, उसको गोली लग गई।
उसको तो पता था आपके पास हथियार है, तो फिर क्यों फायर करा?
सर उसको समझ नहीं आया वहाँ पे मैं क्या करूँ। मैं फिर वहाँ से खिड़की से उतर गया नीचे, गोली लग गई।
फिर फौज आपको हेलीकॉप्टर में लेके आई है आपको?
हाँ सर।
और वहाँ पे आपको क्या मेडिकल ट्रीटमेंट मिला? एकदम मतलब पता तो चल गया था आपको गोली लग गई है, तो पहले वहाँ पे इलाज हुआ?
हाँ, वहाँ गाड़ी में भी वो इलाज करते, 2 बंदे थे। उन्होंने ड्रेसिंग वेसिंग की, ग्लूकोज लगाया और इंजेक्शन भी किया, उससे थोड़ा दर्द कम
हुआ उससे।
जब मैं अंदर घुसा तो धमाका हुआ, मैं वहाँ लब पे आ गया और उसने गोलियां भी मारी। फिर उस गोली का शिकार मैं हो गया। हाँ सर, उसको समझ नहीं आया मैं क्या करूँ, तो उसने गोलियां चलाई। उसको सोचना चाहिए था सर। मेरे साथ जो एक बंदा था, अगर उसने पहले ही बोला होता तो मैं गोली का शिकार नहीं होता सर। मुझे कहा नहीं सर, मुझे नहीं पता, ना ही फौजियों को पता था। जो बंदा गया था उसने भी बोला मुझे वहाँ पे कोई नहीं है। फिर वो जाने और उसका दिमाग कौन था वहाँ पे। सर बहुत ही अच्छा काम किया इन लोगों ने, बहुत ही सहूलियत पहुँच गई मुझको।
मैं शॉपकीपर हूँ, शॉप चलाता हूँ।
आप कौन? आपका नाम क्या है?
मेरा नाम है शौकत अहमद, मैं डिस्ट्रिक्ट कुलगाम पारीवन का रहने वाला। फिर हमने फौज ने हमें उठाया, फौज ने हमारी बहुत मदद की। फौज ने हमें तुरंत से उठा के हॉस्पिटल ले गए, क्योंकि अपने हॉस्टल पे, आर्मी हॉस्टल पे हमें ले गए, वहाँ फर्स्ट एड दे दिया। फिर जो इमरजेंसी पेशेंट था हमारा पड़ोसी, उसके लिए हेली मंगवाया, उसको हेली से हम यहाँ शिफ्ट किया 92 बेस हॉस्पिटल। और जो अपनी गाड़ी थी उसने हमें तुरंत ले लिया, विथिन 10 और 20 मिनट हम हॉस्पिटल पहुँच गए। फौज हमारी बहुत सेवा की, इतना हमारा खून बह रहा था, हमारी डेथ भी हो सकती थी। अगर फौज में फर्स्ट एड नहीं देती तो हमारा ज़्यादा ब्लडिंग के कारण डेथ भी हो सकती थी हमारी। सबसे पहले तो मैं उन लोगों को बताना चाहता हूँ जो इनको पहले पनाह दे रहे हैं, भाई आप क्यों इनको पनाह दे रहे हो? सबसे पहले आप क्यों, किस लिए आप इनको पनाह दे रहे हो? आप देखो इनने हमें टारगेट किया है, ये आपको भी टारगेट कर सकती है, आपको भी मार सकती है। तो लोग इसकी तरफ जा रहे हैं, उनको पहले सोचना चाहिए हम क्या कर रहे हैं। ये अपनी ज़िंदगी को तो नॉर्मल ज़िंदगी गुजारो, ज़िंदगी तो बार बार नहीं मिलती है, ज़िंदगी एक बार ही मिलती है। आप नॉर्मल ज़िंदगी गुजारो, किस चीज़ की कमी है हमें? आप बोलो आप किस लिए हथियार उठा रहे हो? हमारे पास कौन सी चीज़ की कमी है?
बिल्कुल
मेरे पास सब सुविधा है,
सब सुविधा है, गवर्नमेंट है आपके साथ।
और देखो मेरी शॉप पे कितनी भीड़ रहती है, श्रम कार्ड्स की, गोल्डन कार्ड्स की, गवर्नमेंट स्कीम की, लेबर कार्ड्स की। गवर्नमेंट ये जो पब्लिक है गवर्नमेंट स्कीमों का फ़ायदा उठा रही है। ये जो बीच में आ रहे हैं पता नहीं ये क्या कर रहे हैं। हम आम नागरिक हैं, हम पिसे जा रहे हैं इसमें, हम पिसे जा रहे हैं आम नागरिक। लेकिन सबसे पहले मैं फ़ौज का बहुत शुक्रगुजार हूँ, उन्होंने हमें उठाया, वहाँ से हमें फर्स्ट एड दिया। अगर फौज में नहीं उठाते तो शायद हम नहीं बच पाते, मेरे ब्लडिंग के कारण हम नहीं बच पाते। और मेरे आम लोगों से ये गुजारिश है, आप अच्छे राह की तरफ आओ, अच्छे राह की तरफ आओ, आप गलत कामों में मत हो जाओ। कोई मीटिंग के साथ इन्वॉल्व है, कोई इनको जगह दे रहा है घर में, कोई इनके लिए काम कर रहा है, ये बिल्कुल गलत कर रहे हैं। आप क्यों कर रहे हैं? हमारा देश तो एक है, कश्मीर से लेकर कन्याकुमारी तक देश तो एक ही है। फौज के लिए हर वक्त रेडी है, अपने गवर्नमेंट के लिए, अपने कौम के लिए, अपने हिंदुस्तान के लिए हर वक्त रेडी है।
In fact, Times Now also spoke to the DGP of Jammu and Kashmir, who in fact confirmed that this indeed is a shift in strategy, basically by these terror outfits, where civilians are put in harm's way during every encounter. It's a win-win for the terrorists anyway, either in keeping with respect for human life, if the security forces are to hold back and the terrorists manage to escape, and if even the civilians are killed, then it is projected by one section of society as an assault on the human rights of civilians.
देखिए, हर ऑपरेशन के अंदर हमारी जो कोशिश रहती है कि सिविलियन जो हैं उनको बचाया जाए। इस ऑपरेशन के दौरान भी 2 सिविलियन जो जख्मी हुए, जिनको मिलिटेंट ढाल बना करके वहां से निकलना चाहता था, मगर हमारे बहादुर जवानों ने उसकी जो चाल कामयाब नहीं होने दी। सिविलियन को ढाल बना करके उनको आगे लेकर के गोली चलाना, फोर्सेस के साथ आकर के भिड़ना, इसमें लोगों का नुकसान करना और फिर उसको सिक्योरिटी फोर्सेस के नाम पे चढ़ाना, जो एक नई साजिश पाकिस्तान की एजेंसियों की है, जिसको बार बार बताया जा रहा है, जैसे कि हैदरपुरा के एनकाउंटर में भी हुआ, उसमें भी ये बताया गया। इस तरह की जो साजिशें हैं उनको भी नाकाम किया जाएगा।
Nikunj Garg and Pradeep Datta both joining us live. I want to come to you first, Pradeep, to talk about how the police and the security forces are now fearing this as something that may be done by way of policy, by way of a regular practice by the terrorists in Jammu and Kashmir. Have there been past instances as well where increasingly civilians are being used as human shields?
See, one thing all these sympathizers and terror apologists have to realize, that these Pakistan's terrorists are using Kashmiris as cannon fodder, and they have no love and affection for them. In this particular encounter also, who took the bullets from the body for saving lives of this Kashmiri? It was Rohit Chip, a selection grade constable. He went inside and he tried to save their lives. He took bullets on his body and kept fighting till last breath, while he was able to, during that process, he was able to eliminate Babar, that Pakistani terrorist. And look at this, the person whose testimony we showed earlier, he's the owner of the house. He was the person who had been supporting these terrorists. Initially, he tried to mislead security forces, saying that nobody is inside. Maybe it was because of the fear of the gun, or whether he was sympathetic towards these elements, helping them to and providing them refuge. There's a question of investigation. So what he tried to do, he told security forces nobody's inside. And when they went inside, Rohit Chip, along with the column of police personnel, they went inside. That was the time when this person opened fire on them. And this man, the Babar, who was provided shelter by this house owner, they did not even spare him, because strategy is simple. If they are going to kill Kashmiris because they are like expendables to them of little significance, and if they are going to kill them, they will be easily shifting blame on the security forces, saying that see how the security force personnel, they are killing innocent unarmed Kashmiri. And then we have got white collar terrorists already, which the Lieutenant General D.P. Pandey often talks about. These are the politicians, the human rights activists, social activists, and they will keep on demonizing forces and churn out that false propaganda against forces, saying that how they are against Kashmiris. But now the troops are well aware of this fact, and that's one of the reasons when this incident took place day before yesterday, immediately shifted them to hospital. One of them was airlifted, as one of them was saying that they provided them treatment while inside the ambulance also. The men whom he wanted to kill, they provided treatment to even Kashmir, because every Kashmiri life matters to security force personnel. I think these people have to understand that you have not to be sympathetic towards terror-related elements, because they had been using you as cannon fodder, whether it's a Pak-Proxy separatist elements. They only try to fill their coffer, send their kids for luxurious lifestyle and to the universities outside. But while as the Kashmiris were handed over gun and
all of this dovetails, you've made an important point, and Nikunj, all of this dovetails into the question again and again. When you speak of human rights violations in Jammu and Kashmir especially, you cannot have a selective condemnation when it is quite apparent in cases such as this, where civilians, non-combatants are actually used in this fashion by terrorists who unfortunately are valorized by a few mainstream parties in the valley. Nikunj.
Well, absolutely, Padmaja. Human rights are for all, and selective condemnation or selective targeting of security forces that often happens in places like Jammu and Kashmir and in the northeast of the country does only serve one purpose. And that is actually Pakistan, or for that matter, even the Chinese, or for that matter, certain anti-India elements in the larger world opinion want to achieve, and that is to demoralize the security forces. Remember, at the end of the day, a soldier behind the gun is also a human being. A well-trained human being, a disciplined human being, and a man and woman who has of late, through the rigor of the military processes and the processes of even the police training, has been taught much about the human rights. Of late, for last 1 decade or so, even the military has been stressing very, very hard during their training modules on respecting the human rights of the civilian population. So he's not unaware, or he is not some jahil that people would want to portray him as. He knows the importance of human rights, and in the face of the volley of bullets that is coming from the other side, he still tries to maintain that respect, despite being an imminent harm's way or an harm to his own personal life. Now, the other side is only this, that when excesses like, alleged excesses like Nagaland, on which Army Chief have also said that it was an inadvertent error and they regret it, and certain excesses in Jammu and Kashmir happen, then that gives the fuel. And the problem is that in a theater like Kashmir, or an insurgency-like situation in Northeast, it's almost next to impossible to ensure that every action that you take, men wearing guns take, is foolproof, is fail-proof, and never fails. It has never happened anywhere in the world. And that is why these are called civil insurgency situations, which are extremely tricky to handle. However, one has to largely, in such situations, go by the intent. Have people done it on an intent? Have they done something deliberately for their personal benefits, or has it happened in the line of duty? If things have happened in the line of action,
exactly,
or line of
but
duty,
like you have pointed out, these are people who in fact are trained for combat, and the only objective is to give out the full picture. Before I go across, thanks very much Nikunj and Pradeep for joining us. Before I go across to the guests, again in the interest of giving the full picture, I want to play out for you again both of these testimonies. Why? Because note how here, when we are talking about a conflict situation, on the one hand there was a terrorist who actually did not bat an eyelid before using a human being as a shield, and when this man injured somehow jumped out of the window, resources were mobilized to actually get him to safety, to airlift him to a hospital. Listen into this testimonies again.
किचन में गए तो वो वहीं पे था, उसको गोली लग गई।
उसको तो पता था आपके पास हथियार है, तो फिर क्यों फायर करा?
सर उसको समझ नहीं आया वहाँ पे मैं क्या करूँ। मैं फिर वहाँ से खिड़की से उतर गया नीचे, गोली लग गई।
फिर फौज आपको हेलीकॉप्टर में लेके आई है आपको?
हाँ सर।
और वहाँ पे आपको क्या मेडिकल ट्रीटमेंट मिला एकदम, मतलब पता तो चल गया था आपको गोली लग गई है, तो पहले वहाँ पे इलाज हुआ?
हाँ, वहाँ गाड़ी में भी वो इलाज करते, 2 बंदे थे, उन्होंने ड्रेसिंग वेसिंग की, ग्लूकोज लगाया और इंजेक्शन भी किया, उससे थोड़ा दर्द कम हुआ उससे। जब मैं अंदर घुसा तो धमाका हुआ, मैं वहाँ लब पे आ गया और उसने गोलियाँ भी मारी, फिर उस गोली का शिकार मैं हो गया। हाँ सर, उसको समझ नहीं आया मैं क्या करूँ, तो उसने गोलियाँ चलाई। उसको सोचना चाहिए था सर। मेरे साथ जो एक बंदा था, अगर उसने पहले ही बोला होता तो मैं गोली का शिकार नहीं होता सर। मुझे कहा नहीं सर, मुझे नहीं पता, ना ही फौजियों को पता था। जो बंदा गया था उसने भी बोला मुझे वहाँ पे कोई नहीं है, फिर वो जाने और उसका दिमाग कौन था वहाँ पे। सर बहुत ही अच्छा काम किया इन लोगों ने, बहुत ही सहूलियत पहुँच गई मुझको।
मैं शॉपकीपर हूँ, मैं जॉब चलाता हूँ।
आप कौन, आपका नाम क्या है?
मेरा नाम है शौकत अहमद, मैं डिस्ट्रिक्ट कुलगाम पारीवन का रहने वाला। फिर हमने फौज ने हमें उठाया, फौज ने हमारी बहुत मदद की। फौज ने हमें तुरंत से उठा के हॉस्पिटल ले गए, क्योंकि अपने हॉस्टल पे, आर्मी हॉस्टल पे हमें ले गए, वहाँ फर्स्ट एड दे दिया। फिर जो इमरजेंसी पेशेंट था हमारा पड़ोसी, उसके लिए हेली मंगवाया, उसको हेली से हम यहाँ शिफ्ट किया 9 बेस हॉस्पिटल। और जो अपनी गाड़ी थी उसने हमें तुरंत ले लिया, विथिन 10 और 20 मिनट्स हम हॉस्पिटल पहुँच गए। फौज ने हमारी बहुत सेवा की, बहुत। इतना हमारा खून बह रहा था, हमारी डेथ भी हो सकती थी अगर फौज में फर्स्ट एड नहीं देती, तो हमारा ज़्यादा ब्लडिंग के कारण डेथ भी हो सकती थी हमारी। सबसे पहले तो मैं उन लोगों को बताना चाहता हूँ जो इनको पहले पनाह दे रहे हैं, भाई आप क्यों इनको पनाह दे रहे हो? सबसे पहले आप क्यों, किस लिए आप इनको पनाह दे रहे हो? आप देखो इनने हमें टारगेट किया, ये आपको भी टारगेट कर सकती हैं, आपको भी मार सकते हैं। तो लोग इसकी तरफ जा रहे हैं, उनको पहले सोचना चाहिए हम क्या कर रहे हैं। ये अपनी ज़िंदगी को तो नॉर्मल ज़िंदगी गुजारो, ज़िंदगी तो बार बार नहीं मिलती है, ज़िंदगी एक बार ही मिलती है। आप नॉर्मल ज़िंदगी गुजारो, किस चीज़ की कमी है हमें? आप बोलो आप किस लिए हथियार उठा रहे हो? हमारे पास कौन सी चीज़ की कमी है?
बिल्कुल
हमारे पास सब सुविधा है,
सब सुविधा है,
गवर्नमेंट
नेचर है, गवर्नमेंट है आपके साथ।
अब देखो मेरी शॉप पे कितनी भीड़ रहती है, श्रम कार्ड्स की, गोल्डन कार्ड्स की, वुमेन स्कीम की, लेबर कार्ड्स की। गवर्नमेंट ये जो पब्लिक है गवर्नमेंट स्कीमों का फ़ायदा उठा रही है। ये जो बीच में आ रहे हैं पता नहीं ये क्या कर रहे हैं। हम आम नागरिक हैं, हम पिसे जा रहे हैं इसमें, हम पिसे जा रहे हैं आम नागरिक। लेकिन सबसे पहले मैं फौज का बहुत शुक्रगुजार हूँ, उन्होंने हमें उठाया वहाँ से, हमें फर्स्ट एड दिया। अगर फौज में नहीं उठाते तो शायद हम नहीं बच पाते, मेरे ब्लडिंग के कारण हम नहीं बच पाते। और मेरे आम लोगों से ये गुजारिश है, आप अच्छे राह की तरफ आओ, अच्छे राह की तरफ आओ, आप गलत कामों में मत हो जाओ। कोई मीटिंग के साथ इन्वॉल्व है, कोई इनको जगह दे रहा है घर में, कोई इनके लिए काम कर रहा है, ये बिल्कुल गलत कर रहे हैं। आप क्यों कर रहे हैं? हमारा देश तो एक है, कश्मीर से लेकर कन्याकुमारी तक देश तो एक ही है। हम फौज के लिए हर वक्त रेडी हैं, हम अपने गवर्नमेंट के लिए, अपने कौम के लिए, अपने हिंदुस्तान के लिए हर वक्त रेडी हैं।
Major General Giri Bakshi is with us along with author R.S.N. Singh, consulting editor Times Now, Maruf Raza. I want to ask you first, General Bakshi, how worried should we be if you have the DGP saying that these cases of civilians being used as human shields by terrorists are not stray incidents now? This is being done as way of strategy.
Absolutely. You see, the worrisome factor is that they seem to have hit upon a new tactic, that the moment they get into an encounter, they have always been using the civilians as human shields. But now they are trying to see that they either kill them or they wound them, so that the canard can be spread that the army did it. Point fingers at the army, demonize them, accuse them of human rights violations, paint them in the blackest of black colors, stymie their operations, put them on the back foot. This is what you gain when you cause a civilian casualty. Previously, the thinking was that it is the foreign terrorists who are very brutal with the civilian. They rape the local women, they misbehave with the girls, they kill them. They are the ones who were using them as human shields primarily. It was thought that the locally recruited terrorists, those boys because of familial ties, blood ties, relationships, etc., were not so brutal with the civilians. That now seems to be changing, and it now seems to be a ploy, a part of a very deliberate strategy to kill the civilian shield, the human shield. Use him as a human shield. If you can't escape, kill him, wound him, and blame it on the security forces, because you have an whole ecosystem of overground workers, politicians, professional human rights lobbyists paid from abroad.
Exactly.
Through Hawala money, other sources, whose job it is to demonize the security forces, give the dog a bad name and then kill him. Matlab, stymie the operations, put them totally on the back foot. We have seen that happening with very great success in Nagaland. We are seeing it now here in a slightly different way than it was done earlier. And now that the police DGP himself is saying this, I think it carries weight and credence. He must also be having SIGINT to this effect. There must have been intercepts also to this effect, because they do pass on these orders and instructions and these variations in tactics to deal with the pressure
to have those people themselves talking about. You have a house owner, he had the terrorist under his roof, but when it came to the crunch, when the security forces were closing in, he was the one who was in the line of fire, quite literally, Maruf. And this could have been avoided if only there hadn't been unnecessary politicization of past encounters. Now terrorists have hit upon the perfect formula, killing two birds with one stone. If the civilian dies, you say the armed forces killed him. We saw it in Hyderpura, and we see it happening again, or at least the attempt was there, as these men say, in Kulgam.
See, Padmaja, I just read a report earlier today from the Dawn newspaper in Pakistan, where Pakistan's spokesperson for the Foreign Office has been pointing fingers at India for human rights abuses. And he has said that Pakistan is urging the international community to take serious cognizance of India's human rights abuses. And this is all, I mean, it's part of a Pakistani strategy. Everyone's on board in Pakistan with this. The details have been spelled out by the police officers, the militants, or those who were held hostage, and of course also by General Bakshi. What I want to bring out is Pakistan has been using every trick in the book. You know, they're always on the front foot. They're always innovating and coming up with new strategies to try and put India in a defensive mode. What annoys me is the absence of aggressiveness on the part of India's officials, not on the ground in J&K. They're doing a very, very fine job, as has been brought out by also Pradeep Datta. The problem is that our efforts are restricted to containing the mischief of Pakistan. Why are we not exposing Pakistan's own human rights abuses, whether it is in POK area, whether it's in Gilgit-Baltistan, the demographic changes they've brought about out there, the political changes that they're thrusting onto the throats of the people of POK, what they've done in Baluchistan. There is sadly an absence of that information and that discourse in all our coverage. Pakistan has been doing all sorts of human rights abuses, including taking Baluchis who are dissenters and throwing them out of helicopters and letting them die, because Pakistan military organization, as we've just seen after celebrating the 50th anniversary of the 71 war, is perhaps, after the Nazis, the most inhuman organization.
While yes, you're right,
with no respect,
you can put greater spotlight on what's happening in Gilgit-Baltistan and Balochistan, but at least here on Indian soil, Maroof, sorry to interrupt you, at least here on Indian soil, you can expose what really is happening. If there is an encounter and a civilian is in the crossfire, it's equally important to point out who is putting him in that crossfire. Maroof.
Padmaja, I am saying that Nikunj has rightly brought out, and General Bakshi knows it only too well, have been a warrior in the Kashmiri Valley for decades, that there is great respect for human rights in the Indian Armed Forces. Particularly, I've seen with my own eyes over the last 2.5 decades, there is training on human rights at various levels in the military and in the training institutions to respect the human rights, not just of not just of people who are caught up in the crossfire of terrorists. But you remember that in the Kargil conflict, when Pakistan threw its soldiers against India, we were the ones who buried them with dignity, didn't let them rot on the hills and high tops of Kargil, whereas Pakistan abandoned their own soldiers. So they are a completely valueless, completely inhuman organization. What we need to do is we need to keep playing up and exposing simultaneously what Pakistan has been doing, and those champions of human rights today in India who say after Article 370's abrogation that human rights in Kashmir has been thrown to the dogs, they would do well right now to come out and make some sensible comments. All those guys, when Major Gogoi used that carpet maker to give a shield to his men and get out of a situation where he could have left a few hundred dead, they were all abusing him. Today, they have got not a word to say. So the hypocrisy, double standards, and all these champions of Kashmiri freedom, they would do well to understand that there is a very fine line that you draw between the intent.
That's a very important parallel that you have drawn right there, and in fact that is what I was going to come to, RSN Singh, when Maroof says that yes, you have a Major Gogoi who, in order to get out of a situation where lives were endangered, tied a civilian onto a jeep. He was painted as the next Hitler. Here you have terrorists who are putting a civilian in front of a hail of bullets, but there is not a peep, not a single word from anyone.
It's not lost out in the world, I mean, especially the Western world, that Indian Army is not a trigger-happy army. It's not only in Kashmir and in other insurgency areas that the Indian Army has been serving. They have been serving as in big numbers in the UN also. So it is not lost out in the Western countries, and there I would exactly agree with Marouf Shah when he says that diplomatically we need to be more on the offensive. Just a thought for everybody that why is India always so concerned about this Western narrative of human rights? Can't you say to hell with you? Do they have the guts to sanction India? Not with the understanding of current geopolitics that I have. No. The Chinese are doing. They have said hell with you. I'm not saying I'm not batting for China. What have the Russians recently done? In Kazakhstan or Crimea or Ukraine, they have said to hell with you. So when we will grow up, when will we have the confidence to say to hell with you? I mean, do they matter really now? Does Europe really matter? Can the Americans do without India?
Sir, more than Arison saying more than caring for international opinion, it is the domestic
That's what I'm
crab
saying.
mentality. If you're constantly pulling down each other and accusing your own people constantly of human rights violation, I think the domestic audience here is the greater worry. You cannot go into an operation knowing that the onus is on you to show that you are not the violator of human rights, knowing that the person on the other side of the barrel has no compunctions in using a human being as a shield. We'll continue with this story, have to slip into a very quick break. Back in a moment.